All right, and I am live. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you can hear me. So this is going to be a short live stream, and basically what I'm doing is I just want to run through some of the big announcements. There's some big things that have happened for both Marilyn Manson and Rammstein lead singer Till Lindemann, both of whom, as you know, I've been covering off and on, well, continuously with Manson, but off and on, Till Lindemann, Rammstein, for years. The Rammstein thing, actually, that was this summer, this past summer. So been almost a year. Yeah, it's been a year there, and then like 3+ years with the Manson stuff. So I wanted to put together a short stream just to get some of my ideas out there, and also to tell you about something that is in the works for my channel that I don't know, it might just be a complete disaster, or it might, just be ridiculous or turn out to be a waste of time. But it was an idea that I had, and I thought, I don't know, that sounds really cool. And it seems really cool. It seems like something that my audience um, could get into. So I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But the big announcements are Marilyn Manson is headlining. He is going to be headlining. So to those of you, some of you who felt like it was a bit below par for him to be opening for someone, Five Finger Death Punch. I did not feel that way. I talked about it then. I was actually, and this was humbling to admit this, but I was actually surprised that he could get anyone to sponsor him, or any venue to allow him, or much less, Live Nation, to sponsor him going out there on stage. And I didn't even think he could get insured because of these ridiculous false Me Too allegations against him, against Manson. So to me, it was surprising, and I feel like an idiot that I didn't think it was going to happen, that I was too cynical, I guess, about things. But it was surprising to me that he was able to get on a major tour like that, even not headlining. And so, but there were a few people in my audience who were complaining that it was not big enough for Manson. It was not befitting a true comeback, that he needed to be the headliner. Oh, and Michael Brown says, don't forget Slaughter to Prevail, who is on tour with Manson too. Yes, exactly. And I just don't know this sector of the music world, unfortunately. But yes, Slaughter to Prevail also will be opening for Manson and Five Finger Death Punch, and then also will be playing alongside Manson, at least at the Fillmore event, right? Or is it the Silver Springs event? But whatever. Anyway, Manson is going to be headlining. So right now there are 3 dates that I see on the books, and I think you can get tickets, or at least pre-sale tickets now. There's one of them at the Fillmore. One of them is Silver Springs is the Fillmore, right? Sorry, I'm confused. There's one in Chicago, there's one in Silver Springs, and then there's one in Reno, Nevada. I don't know if he'll be adding more dates and more venues. That would be amazing. But just the fact now that he is going to be headlining, it's big progress. It's really huge. And so that is really exciting. And again, whoever, I assume, he's got a manager, but whoever got all that stuff lined up, and also the venues that are willing to take a chance on Manson, and Live Nation, and the insurers, and all of that, all of the people who are taking a chance on getting bad PR. There really hasn't been nearly as much bad PR as I thought there would be. But I'm just saying, anytime you take on Manson and someone in these circumstances post Me Too, there's a lot of controversy you're potentially taking on. So to the people who were willing to make that happen, make this happen, both the headlining and touring with Five Finger Death Punch, and to those bands who were touring with Manson too, Five Finger Death Punch and Slaughter to Prevail, and some of the others, that is impressive, and good for you, and good for whoever got this whole thing lined up, because I really didn't think it was possible. I really thought that Manson's situation, in the shadow of Me Too and modern media being against him, and people like insurers and venues and companies, being such cowards generally in the bureaucratic corporate world, not wanting to take on anything with a bit of scandal, real scandal, and certainly not this whole all this Me Too insanity. I really just didn't think there was hardly any chance that he could get a legitimate tour going. I just thought it couldn't happen. And I thought if it did happen, it would be some kind of like fly by night, shitty operation, venue, like crappy venues, and terrible artists, traveling with him and stuff like that. And so anyway, kudos to the people who lined that up, made that happen, and who are taking some risks, because I definitely think it's going to pay off. And I think I said this before, I think the Manson thing, it's a high risk, high reward situation. Not high risk in the sense that he's actually going to do anything problematic on tour, or that I think in any way that he's this abuser, but high risk in just terms of the controversy and so forth. And so hopefully there won't be much controversy. Again, we'll see when the documentary comes out. It's turning out for these documentary makers, the ones who made the 3-part Marilyn Manson Unmasked. I think that's the working title, Unmasked documentary that will be coming out, I assume, in the next several months. Those people, they picked a fortuitous time to be coming out with a documentary, because Manson is about to go back out to the spotlight. And so I wonder if, I was expecting that we would have seen the documentary by now, because it has been, as I understand, it's been completed for a while, and in the pipeline for a while, and it's been sold to distributors. So I am surprised we haven't seen it yet. I thought we would see it probably by now, and there's not even been like any mention of it or announcement of it as forthcoming in the near future. So it makes me wonder if now that Manson has tour dates lined up, and it's obvious that late summer, early fall is going to be when he's really most public. I wonder if the documentary makers, distributors, whoever, I wonder if they're intentionally waiting till a bit later. We might see it come out then in the summer. But at any rate, we'll see. But great news for Manson. And also, he published a really awesome photo taken by his longtime friend and regular photographer, whose name that I still can't pronounce. Is it, sorry, I should have looked it up, but is it Peru or Peru? Close enough. Perou. You can find him on Instagram and other places. Let me show you the picture, because I think it's a really cool picture. Just a second. Okay, so going to Manson's Twitter. Here we go. Notice the follows you. Ooh, yes. Actually, he's following 661 people, so it's not quite as special. But I'm joking. No, it was a huge thing. I was so happy when I saw one day that he had followed me. Anyways, back to the point. If you scroll down, you see this picture that he's using here, and he's using it a lot on Instagram. And this was the picture that his friend Peru took. So I think that's a really cool picture. And speaking of great pictures, Manson, someone took a great picture of him the other day hanging out with someone from Rob Zombie's band. I'm blanking on the name because I don't know this stuff very well. But someone took a picture of him like going to a restaurant for lunch, dinner, or whatever, and I posted on Instagram that I thought that he looked like a goth James Dean. Like, I thought, especially one of those pictures. I mean, he looks good in all of them, but especially one of them. Hold on a second. I'm going to find it, because a number of you have seen this. And I reposted it with a reference to goth James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause, or whatever. Okay, I found it. Just a second. Okay. All right. So you can see that here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. But yeah, goth James Dean there. And I mean that, and 100% as a compliment. And I think he just looks just fantastic here. Like the best that, not people say, the best he's looked in years. But I mean, like, just the whole, through his entire trajectory, I'd say that's the best that you've seen him look, honestly. And so it's just great. I think it's great styling. He looks laid back and relaxed here, not uncomfortable. I love the hair. I just love it all. It looks great. So let me just say, one second. Anyway, let me just say that I, at times, have had my doubts as to whether or not Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner, is truly ready to jump back into this thing. And I don't mean that as any kind of slight or insult, or that, I think he had lost it or what have you. But I'm just saying that with everything that he has been through, in the past several years, not only since 2021 when Evan Rachel Wood and the others came out with their allegations, but I dial it back to when all of this really started to get rolling, and he became aware of the fact that he was in the sights of crazy women. Um, I would say going back to at least what, like 2018, then maybe 2019. So the point is, he's been dealing with this shit and this Me Too conspiracy against him in some form or fashion. He has been dealing with it for years and years, and then he got completely canceled, was fully canceled for a while. He's finally coming back, but he was completely canceled for a while. Had to go through all of that, the ignominy of that and the disgrace, and having every aspect of himself attacked and brought back, and things set out of context and what have you, and then also taking a huge financial hit and having to go through the courts with some of these women, being dragged through the courts, when really all they wanted was an easy settlement, as it turns out. And police, having to deal with the police, who I think realized pretty early on it was a hoax, and have now kicked the case over to the DA, have closed the case because they know it's a hoax after investigating. But like all the stuff he's been through. And so and plus, that's all this time he's been off the stage. He's been out of the recording studio by and large. And I just know personally in my own life, and we all know this, that when you step away from something for a long time, you get not only rusty, but your confidence really goes down. And then on top of that, Manson has had to deal with people making all of these ageist comments about him, and the drawing reference to the fact that he's 55. They do the same thing with Till Lindemann. Is 60-year-old really? She says, 60-year-old really? You know, but and so I just, and also let me just say that when Manson was in court for the stupid misdemeanor spitting charge, where he was on stage and he spit at the camera that was right in front of him. And then this lady, claimed that she got a little spittle on her arm or whatever. And so she had to take him to court. But the point is, when I saw Manson in court that day, and I really don't mean to insult him, but and I said this kind of at the time, honestly, but when I saw Manson in court that day, I thought that he did not look to me like he was ready. And I don't mean that he looked bad or whatever, but there was just, and maybe it was just, being in a cold, hostile environment like a courtroom, and I said this at the time, where everybody's out to get you or what have you, or the cold, sterile lighting of the overhead fluorescence, but whatever it may be. The overall look, it was not, I'm not saying he looked bad, but there was just something where I just felt like, I just don't think he's quite there yet. Emotionally, even just what was being projected emotionally. And but I looked at this photo that we're looking at right now. Here's my point. I looked at this photo, and when I looked at this photo, I thought, this is a guy who is not only back, but who has his sights set on something ultimately bigger than just getting back to where he was in 2020 when he was canceled in 2020, 2021. And I don't want to take, my own, I don't want to project my own aspirations for him onto him, because that's not my place. And I sort of get like a little bit almost probably in kind of like Lululand when I start talking this way, right? But I really think that Marilyn Manson's third act can be and should be bigger than even his first act, than even what we saw in the 90s, for instance, in the early 2000s. And I'm sure that he doesn't have all of that figured out yet, and a lot of that is just going to be the way that life unfolds over the next 5 to 10 years or what have you. But for the first time when I looked at this picture, I thought, this guy is back. And it doesn't look like someone, when I look at this picture, it does not look like someone who is a has-been and who's trying to sort of fearfully, timidly climb his way out of the foxhole, and is kind of scared that as soon as he puts his head out of the foxhole, bam, someone's going to knock it off with a bullet. I think, metaphorically, right? I think, we don't want to encourage the crazies out there, but I think when I look at this, this is a man who is ready to come back and beyond. And that's what I see. And so when I saw this photo, it just really made me happy because I thought he is back and he looks every bit the star. He doesn't look like a has been who's trying to slowly edge his way out of the foxhole. He looks like a fucking star and he looks like he's back. Totally legitimate. And that's what this projects to me. So I was excited to see it. I thought it was really cool. Now, I'm going to say a few more things about Manson in just a minute. I'm going to say some stuff about Lindemann, and then I'm going to tie this thing up because I told you it'd be a short live stream. And honestly, the main reason why I'm making it is because I'm trying to get some material for some videos that I'm going to be putting out shortly. But I'm going to talk about Manson a little more in a minute. But I want to talk about Lindemann and what has been going on with Lindemann because, as a number of you know, Rammstein, they have dealt with a media firestorm now for almost a year in various forms. This was something that, if you go back and you look at when when Shelby made her ridiculous allegations, that was in what was it, May? So for a year, off and on, Rammstein and Till Lindemann, their lead singer, the front man, they have been dealing with all of these lies and a lot of Me Too craziness. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then look at my videos. I've done a bunch of videos. I have a whole playlist on the Rammstein situation. You can check it out because it's in its own way, it's just as ridiculous or more ridiculous than the Manson stuff. I mean, the Manson allegations are much more out there and extreme in a lot of ways, but to me, the elements of what Lindemann and Rammstein were accused of are so laughable as well. But here's the thing that I'm trying to get at is that Rammstein they have not been back to the States, and Lindemann has not been back to the States to perform since the scandal occurred in Europe, right? Almost a year ago. And as you know, there was a cover story in Der Spiegel magazine, one of the most esteemed European periodicals. There was a cover story about the fall of Rammstein, Der Fall Rammstein, and it's got this scary, evil-looking image of Till Lindemann on the cover. It's one of their, I guarantee you, one of their best-selling magazines issues from the last year, I'm sure. But it was a total hit job, and they alleged just ridiculous things. And, I said at the time how I know that the article was BS is because they also tied Marilyn Manson into it and alleged a kind of nefarious connection between Marilyn Manson and Lindemann that I know from researching Manson extensively is just total BS. And it's not even something that someone like Evan Rachel Wood is claiming. So this magazine, Der Spiegel, they just constructed this entirely bullshit story and created an entire issue centered around the idea that Rammstein was over. Well, Rammstein's not over. They continue to tour, but they have not been back to the United States since then. And Lindemann has not been back to the United States, at least publicly, since then, touring. And so just the other day, Lindemann announced that his solo act called Lindemann, his solo act and his band and guys like Joe Lutz and Danny and then there's 3 women. I talked about this online. There are 3 women, 3 female instrumentalists in Till Lindemann's band. In fact, let's look at a picture here. I want you to see this because I talked about this earlier. So this is Till Lindemann's solo band. This is Lindemann. And when I say solo project, I mean it's not with Rammstein, right? Y'all get what I mean when I talk about that. So look at this. He's got 3 women in the band. And I talked about this online. I don't know any other major male rock star. I don't even know, honestly, I probably couldn't tell you off the top of my head any major male musician, but certainly any major male rock star who has 3 women in his band. And they're instrumentalists because look, this is why it's important, right? I hang out with a lot of band guys. No, not big band guys like these, but I'm talking about just like the local music scene because My guy plays guitar and he's been in various bands around here. And sometimes they would even get me to sing and to play terribly on the keyboard, which I can't really play the keyboard, but I can like pick out like one note and hold it for a while. So but sometimes that's all you need. And in fact, can I give you an aside here? One of the things that my guy who's a musician, one of the things that he complains about the most is he says that there are so many musicians out there that you collaborate with them and they want to do all this like fancy stuff that they think they can do and it doesn't serve the song because maybe what serves the song is just a steady beat, right? And not all of this Metallica drum stuff. No offense to Metallica. Or maybe what serves the song is just one note on the keyboard played at a time, just a little, like background, like in techno. Anyway, so, but I digress. But there is not, I have to say, a great deal of respect, generally speaking, in the rock music world or even locally. There's not a great deal of respect for female musicians. And I'm not saying that like, oh, it's sexist or whatever. But just I mean respect in the sense of like people associating females, women with being great instrumentalists, right? And I'm not saying it's sexism. I'm not saying it's not deserved or whatever. There's certain things that certain genders tend to get into more and whatever. And so I'm not saying that it's some conspiracy that most of the famous instrumentalists in rock are men. But I'm just saying that it is interesting that you don't find really any band, particularly a rock group, I'm saying, where you have that many female instrumentalists. You might have a lot of female background singers, right? Or you might have even a female soloist singer because that's something women are more associated with. And also that's something, there are a lot of bands that are like, yeah, we want to have a hot woman in front. We know it'll draw attention, that'll make us look a little different or what have you, right? And so, but actually having three female instrumentalists in your band, to me, that actually shows a great deal of respect for women and open-mindedness toward women. And it to me, it demonstrates a man who is really trying to promote women in all of the ways that women say they want to be promoted. We want to be taken seriously. We want to be appreciated for more than our looks. Although obviously these are very attractive women, and it factors into it just like it factors into anything, just like it factors into Till Lindemann's popularity that he's hot. So I'm just saying though, here is a man who has respect for a woman's ability to play the guitar, to play the keyboard, and not only just to play it, y'all, but to play it at the level that a professional band, a professional a professional musician has to be playing at. Because when you get to the level that these professionals are at, it requires an astounding amount of skill and proficiency and various character traits that the vast majority of people just don't have. And so to find three female instrumentalists and promote them like that and make them an essential equal aspect of your band, much less your solo project, I just think that says a lot about him. So I don't ever want to hear people say that Till Lindemann does not respect women, because you can look at his fucking band and you can see it right there in front of your face. And not at all to minimize, like I said, the other two guys, but just it's amazing to me. Well, anyway, they've announced dates. They are going to be so Lindemann is going to be touring the United States. And what's interesting is he's going to actually be playing in some of the venues that Marilyn Manson is going to be playing in as well. Like there are certain times when Lindemann will be following up Manson, so to speak, with like one or two or I don't know, a few weeks in between them. And so Lindemann's tour, let me show you here. Just a second. Oh, actually, I think. Okay, here we go. So I don't know how well you can see this, but it's going to start the 17th of September in San Antonio. And I'm going to be there, and I'll tell you about this in a minute. But it's going to start the 17th of September in San Antonio. Then it's going to move on the 19th of September to Dallas. Then it's going to move to Des Moines, et cetera, all through October. And then it's going to end up in Los Angeles, the Kia Forum, on the 14th of October. Now, you'll notice in here there are several places where both Manson and Lindemann, I'll show you Manson's schedule in a moment, will be playing. So, but one of them is Fillmore Silver Spring. Yeah. Another place that I noticed is Chicago, the Byline Bank Aragon Ballroom. Isn't that the same place that Manson is playing when he's doing his solo projects? So anyway, this I think this is very cool, and I think again, like what I said about earlier about Manson, I am impressed with those business people who are helping to make the Lindemann tour happen, because it's not even like it's a Rammstein tour. This is Lindemann. This is the guy who was at the center of the controversy in Europe with Rammstein and was villainized by so many, not only in German media and European media, but also was villainized in American media and English speaking media. All right. So it's impressive to those insurers. And I think Live Nation is putting this on as well. You know, Live Nation turned out to have some major balls. If you're watching me by any chance and you work for Live Nation, you have balls and it's going to pay off because, like I said earlier, it's high risk, but it's high reward. And I think these tickets are going to sell, and I think that these guys are going to get a lot of press. Maybe not always positive, but a lot of press, which will lead to, guess what, more tickets selling. So kudos to all the people making that happen. But here's what I wanted to point out, getting back to Manson now. When you look at Manson's tour schedule, particularly with Five Finger Death Punch, I want to show you something. I talked about this online on Instagram earlier, but I want to show you something. So it turns out Manson's tour, by the way, is going to start in early August. I'm going to the first show, and that is in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and that is on August 2nd. And then I believe August 3rd is when he's doing one of his solo shows. That was the one, I think, Fillmore Silver Springs. And then he's going to be back with Five Fingers and so forth. But here is something that I noticed, and this freaked me out. It made me so happy. So on Wednesday, September 18th, in Austin, Texas, Manson is going to play, opening for Five Finger Death Punch. But I mean, it's going to be, he's going to be doing a full set. He's going to be there in Austin. Now, I had already gotten tickets arranged to go to this show. I was going to go. So, yes, I'm going to the first show in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I wanted to be there for the first one, but I also wanted to see him in Texas toward the end of his tour. Like, I really like the idea of seeing the progression from the first of the tour till the end of the tour. And so this will be Manson's next to last show. His last show is going to be in Houston, not too far away either, but I wanted to go to the Austin one. So here's the point. When Lindemann announced his tour, what I noticed is that his tour begins in San Antonio the day before Manson plays in Austin. So as Manson is wrapping up his tour, Lindemann is going to be beginning his, and they're going to be doing this in the same place. Almost the same place, because San Antonio, if you know the area, then you know that San Antonio is basically, on a low traffic day, it's an hour from Austin, hour's drive from Austin. And so I'm going to go see Lindemann perform in San Antonio. And then the next day, I'm going to see Manson perform in Austin. And I just think it's going to be an amazing way to wrap things up. But here's what I'm getting at. I have been hoping, since I started covering Rammstein, I have been hoping that Manson and Lindemann would collaborate together. That my dream was for Manson and Lindemann, or Manson and Rammstein, whatever, to tour together. And I know that Manson has performed before with Rammstein without Lindemann there, but I just thought it would be amazing, particularly since both have become controversial for the same stupid stuff, the same stupid Me Too hoax allegations. And since both of them have been, in many ways, then the men that you fear, as I said on a particular poster that I put up. So I did this poster not too long ago, and put it on Instagram. If you can see it here, the men that they fear. And so I know it's kind of a dour looking photo, like they're both looking, kind of negative or whatever, but they also look ominous. And I just think these are great photos of each of them. I don't know who took them, but I think they're great photos. And so anyway, my point is that I always had in my mind this dream that they were going to perform together. And so here's where I'm going with this. I decided that since I'm going to be seeing them back to back, that I'm going to basically cover it on my channel as if it is a collaboration, as if it is a kind of a double feature, so to speak, a double headliner. And so I'm going to provide a lot of coverage. I'm going to go to both of these. By the way, I'll be outside interviewing fans before and after each show, at least before each show. And so if I see you outside, you'll see me there, and I'll have a camera, and I'll have a good microphone, everything come up to me, and we'll talk about it, because I want to be doing a lot of live streaming at these shows. Maybe not, I'm not going to live stream the whole concert or anything, because that's can't enjoy it when you're doing that, right? But I want to get a lot of footage. And here's the other thing is I really want to promote this as an event. Like, I want to encourage people, honestly, I want to encourage people to go to Texas and to check both of them out. I mean, to me, that sounds like an amazing 2 days, or however many days you want to be in Texas. But to me, that sounds like an amazing 2 days to go to San Antonio and see Lindemann perform, by the way, for the first time in the United States. Yes, Rammstein has performed before in the US, but Lindemann, his first time in his solo band performing here in the US, and it'll be his first performance of Lindemann's first solo tour in the United States. I think it's amazing. Is it his first? I think it might even be his first North American tour, but I'm not sure, because I know they perform in Mexico. But first ever in the United States. See that in San Antonio, right? And then the next day, drive the hour to Austin and see Marilyn Manson perform one of his last shows, see him at the end of his tour and support him there. I think that would be amazing. So I'm going to promote it that way. And I because I so wanted to one day be able to cover a collaboration between both of these guys that I've spent so much time talking about, because I dreamed of that, I'm kind of looking at this as like the universe saying to me, okay, it may not be exactly as you envisioned, but you're getting the mashup that you wanted. Here it is. Make the most of it. And so I'm going to do that. I am. And so I want to announce one more thing then. And this is the idea that I said, it might not work out, might not go anywhere, might be stupid or what have you, but I've been thinking about it for a bit. I feel like there are a lot of people in my viewership who are also talented artists, and probably a lot more talented than I am with a lot of things, with technical stuff and graphics and what have you. But I feel like there are a lot of people in my audience who probably should be making YouTube videos themselves. Maybe, and I've had people express to me on my channel before, oh, I really want to make YouTube videos, but I don't really know like where to start. You have to start a channel. It's kind of like embarrassing, because what if the channel doesn't do well? And a lot of people think too much about what people think, honestly. I feel like that is the major reason why a number of people that I know who want to start YouTube channels, like fans of mine who've told me they want to, don't do it, is because they have this fear that they'll look silly, or that people will look at them and be like, well, who does she think she is? One of my fans, one of my friends, is she's basically my age, also in her 40s, early 40s. And she said that, she wants to start a YouTube channel, but she doesn't want people to look at her and think she's ridiculous. Like, what is this middle-aged woman doing, starting a channel? And start the fucking channel. Do it. Do it. But I think that there are people out there in my fandom, when it comes to Manson and Rammstein, and Lindemann, who could make some really interesting videos. And so and here's the other thing is, I am too busy now with my job. I'm a waitress, I'm a server down the street, and I'm too busy with that job to be able to put out nearly as much content as I want to put out. So here's what I'm saying. I want to offer the opportunity to you, if you out there, if you want to make a YouTube video, or you want to even make a short or something longer, if you want to make a fucking 2-hour documentary, whatever, but if you want to make a video and it's good, then I will put it on my channel. And we could even do something, if I have a number of people who submit, we could even do some kind of a Colonel Kurtz film festival, where I take all of the videos that I think are good enough to present, I present them, and then we even vote on a winner or something. I don't know. But I want to give people the opportunity to create their own Marilyn Manson themed or Rammstein themed or Lindemann themed, or you can focus on the collaborative aspect or whatever. You can focus on their work, their artistry, or you can focus on the Me Too BS. You want to do a takedown video of Evan Rachel Wood, whatever. I don't care. But something related to those themes. And you want to send it to me. And if it's good enough, I will put it up. Now, I'm not going to put up everything that everyone sends me. And if I get a lot of crap, then I'm not putting up a lot of crap. But you see the level, of the lack, I should say, the lack of artistry of a number of the videos that I put out, right? So it's not like the standards are, we're not talking about professional standards, like what have you. Although it'd be great if you do. But something that's interesting, something that is catchy, either audibly, either in terms of like what you're saying, what you're presenting, or is catchy visually. If you want to do graphics, if you want to splice together video, images, do a voiceover, put out a mini doc, I don't care, but something interesting. And I will put those out on my channel. And you know, I guess what I would say is this, the incentive for you would be that I really do think that Marilyn Manson and Till Lindemann see my videos. I'm not trying to go out on a limb or speak for them or anything, but I have been told by people who know them or are close to them that they have regularly watched my videos. And so I feel like sometimes the fans, they want to connect with the artists that they're fans of, but they feel like, oh, well, maybe they're not actually reading my messages or they're not really getting these sentiments or what have you. And I really feel like if we do this and you submit good stuff to me and I put it up, I would bet 95% with 99% with 95% certainty that they're going to see them. So for some of you, maybe it'll just be interesting knowing that if you put together a little short clip or a little documentary or a little video or something about related to Rammstein, related to Lindemann, related to Manson, the idea that they'll actually see it. Um, uh-oh, you said she's back. Did I go away? Did I go away? What's going on? I'm sorry. I totally broke character there, so to speak, because I was seeing something in the comments. Do we have like a crazy commenter that has to be banned? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, scratch the last 30 seconds. But here's my point is I think it'd be fun. So if you want to submit something to me and if it's good enough, I will put it up. I will advertise it. I will make sure that it is more than likely that Rammstein or Manson or Lindemann see these. And also I want to say too that I am very happy to split if any money is made. Let's say that one of you puts together a video that just turns out to be gangbusters with the YouTube algorithm and it makes hundreds of dollars. I've almost never had anything make thousands except during my Johnny Depp heyday. But if it makes money, I am totally willing to split half of that with you. Like say the half of the first month when you have 99% of your views, typically half of the first month's revenue. So, to people who will say, oh, she's just trying to take our work and use it to get clicks and make money. Well, how about we split the money and we all enjoy the clicks? Because they're very hard to come by, let me tell you. And the likelihood probably is that if you make a video, it's probably not going to do as well as you want it to. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be promoting is a Till Lindemann, Marilyn Manson kind of like film festival, ongoing film festival on my channel, film screening on my channel. And for some of you, maybe you have a concept for a larger idea. Say you wanted to do an hour-long documentary on something, but you don't want to put all of that work into it. If you don't know if I'm going to air it, I'm totally fine looking at teasers as well. If you want to put together a several minute teaser clip that gives me an idea of what you're wanting to produce, then I think that would be great. Right. So again, there are ways to get around some of these issues. So that's what I'm wanting to do. But no matter what happens with that, and I'm going to need to come up with a way for people to submit. I'll probably create a Dropbox online so that, because I don't answer most of my DMs these days and it's very difficult, almost sometimes impossible to get a hold of me just because how crazy my life is right now and got many different plates spinning. But I will create some way, maybe a Dropbox that I give everyone a link to, create a way for you to upload your stuff so that I do see it, right, when you send it to me. And I'll make sure to get everything out in a timely fashion and get you an answer in a timely fashion and all that. But I'm going to be doing that regardless of how that turns out, though. Until the fall and through the fall, through these concerts, I'm going to be promoting Marilyn Manson and promoting Till Lindemann, but also I really am going to be focusing on this idea of this double feature, so to speak, that we're seeing basically the planets kind of aligning so that these guys are going to be playing just down the road from each other, back to back. I just think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting. All right. Everybody, as usual, I appreciate your support from my channel. I don't have my links up right now, but when I get off here, I will stick my links in the comments if you want to send me a tip or donation or what have you. And I will get the Dropbox up for submissions very soon. And I invite all of you to start thinking about something. It could even just be something funny and goofy. If it makes me laugh, I'll put it up, right? Shorts, that one of my favorite videos that I've ever done was the 20-second short that I did based on the picture of Marilyn Manson looking at Amber Heard in horror. So Johnny collaborated with Manson and at some festival or something like that, and Amber Heard was backstage, and there's that shot of Marilyn Manson. She doesn't realize it, right? She's just like, but she's her with Io, and Marilyn Manson is standing behind her, and he's just looking at her in abject horror. And I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe the light was just kind of in his eyes, but it looks like he's terrified of her. And so I took that and I spliced it with the music from Psycho. That I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever done, and it took me no time. So it doesn't have to be a big deal. It just has to be entertaining or interesting, right? So there it is. Appreciate all of you. Check out the links I'm going to put below. And then I'm going to be splicing this up and putting this into some smaller videos. Now, I might be doing an overtime a little bit later, so stay tuned. I might be back actually in a few minutes. But anyway, okay. Bye, everybody.